Welcome to Propeller Breeze, the show for student pilots, sim fans, and everyone chasing that first solo and beyond. All information in this podcast is for entertainment and general knowledge only. Always verify with certified flight instructors or regulatory authorities before attempting anything mentioned here.
All right, buckle up. There's truly nothing quite like that feeling, you know? The runway rushing past, the lift beneath the wings, and just soaring into the wild blue yonder. It's why you're here, right? Learning to fly.
Absolutely. That freedom.
But before you can truly master that incredible freedom, there's a critical, often underestimated foundation you must nail down. Understanding your aircraft's numbers. See, while the aircraft itself is certified as safe, your understanding of its current state, how it's loaded, where its weight is distributed, well, that's absolutely critical.
Just safety and performance, too.
Exactly. So today, we're taking a deep dive into something that might sound like just another checklist item, but is actually, I think, one of the most vital shortcuts to being truly well-informed about a core aspect of aviation.
Right.
Aircraft weight and balance.
It really is fundamental.
This isn't just theory. It's essential for any pilot, but maybe especially for you as you learn to fly and start making those crucial pre-flight decisions. Get ready for some aha moments, hopefully.
Indeed. Our source material for this deep dive provides a truly comprehensive look at weight and balance considerations for pilots. And it emphasizes, like you said, this isn't simply about adhering to regulations.
Right.
It's about understanding the fundamental physics of flight and why these numbers are so critical. We're going to peel back the layers a bit and reveal the why behind the numbers. Make sure you understand the principles, not just, memorize rules of thumb.
Okay, so let's unpack this. As a student pilot, or maybe even a new private pilot, you might be tempted to think, okay, once an aircraft is certified, its weight and balance data is fixed, right? Like a set it and forget it kind of deal.
Yeah, that's a common thought.
But our source explicitly states that this information is not valid indefinitely. It actually changes, which is, well, that's a bit of a curveball, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And it raises an important question. If it changes, how do you keep up?
Right.
The reason it's not indefinitely valid is precisely because equipment changes or modifications directly affect the aircraft's weight and balance data. Think about it. Every alteration, maybe a new radio, different landing gear, anything like that can subtly but significantly shift the aircraft's empty weight and its center of gravity.
So you just can't rely on the original numbers forever.
Exactly. You simply can't. Your aircraft is sort of a living, evolving thing in that sense.
And this leads right into what our source calls the rules of thumb trap. I still hear pilots say things like, oh, if I have 3 passengers, I can only load 100 gallons of fuel. 4 passengers, maybe 70 gallons.
I've heard that too.
Our source strongly advises against this kind of simplification. That just feels too risky.
It absolutely is. The source stresses the absolute necessity of precise computation as part of every single pre-flight briefing. No exceptions.
Every single time.
Every time. You should never, ever assume that 3 passengers are always, the same weight or that their bags are light.
Right.
Instead, you must do a full, careful computation of all items being loaded onto the aircraft. It means the pilot, every single passenger, all the baggage, and the fuel.
So weigh the bags.
For true precision, yeah, it's recommended that all bags actually be weighed. It helps you make a precise computation of how the aircraft's center of gravity, or CG, is positioned for that specific flight.
Okay.
This isn't just about the total weight, it's about where that weight sits. And the importance of the CG, well, as you'll remember from discussions on stability, controllability, performance, it just cannot be overstated.
Yeah, it comes up everywhere.
It really does. The source is clear and, frankly, quite stark. Unequal load distribution causes accidents.
Yeah.
A truly competent pilot, which is exactly what you're training to be, must deeply understand and respect the profound effects of CG.
It's the difference between a predictable flight and, well, something else.
A terrifying surprise, potentially, yes.
And this isn't just theory. Let's imagine a common scenario from the source. You're flying a popular 4-seat aircraft. It can carry 60 gallons of fuel. The question is, can all seats be occupied?
Right. Can you fill her up?
Yeah. Think about it. 4 people who each weigh 150 pounds. That leads to a dramatically different weight and balance computation than 4 people who each weigh 200 pounds.
Big difference.
That second scenario adds an additional 200 pounds to the aircraft. That's like adding almost 30 gallons of extra fuel.
Oh, yeah. That much.
This additional weight might not only place the CG outside of the safe operating envelope, but critically, the maximum gross weight could be exceeded.
And that's huge.
And that excess weight isn't just a number on a page. It can overstress the aircraft and severely degrade its performance.
Definitely.
Imagine trying to clear those trees at the end of the runway on a hot day, just a little bit of overload, and suddenly those trees aren't clearing. That's the real-world consequence.
Exactly. It matters right when you need performance most.
So given all this, you might wonder, why do regulators make such a big deal out of certifying an aircraft for weight and balance in the first place? Our source reveals two foundational reasons.
That's right. The first reason is quite direct. It's all about the effect of the total weight on the aircraft's primary structure.
Okay, the physical bits.
And its performance characteristics. How much weight is simply too much for the airframe to handle without breaking? And what does that total weight mean for how the aircraft will actually perform?
Right, integrity and capability.
Precisely. The second, equally critical reason is the effect of the location of this weight, that is, the center of gravity on the aircraft's flight characteristics.
How it feels, how it handles.
Exactly. This is particularly vital for your ability to control the aircraft, especially in critical situations like stall and spin recovery, and just for overall stability. Think about how even just shifting some baggage can make the airplane feel completely different in your hands.
Yeah, definitely felt that. Now, our source points out some interesting exceptions to this rigorous computation. Things like balloons and weight shift control aircraft.
Right.
They don't require the same rigorous weight and balance computations. Why is that?
Well, it's because their load is suspended below the lifting mechanism, like the balloon envelope or the wing of the weight shift.
Ah, okay.
And their CG range is typically such that it's difficult to actually exceed the loading limits. For example, in a weight shift control aircraft, the rear seat and fuel are usually placed as close as possible to the hang point, meaning load variations have very little effect on the CG. Same idea for a balloons basket or gondola. The whole load just hangs directly beneath the envelope.
Makes sense.
But here's the crucial takeaway, even for those types. While explicit computations aren't required in the same way, pilots should always calculate their total weight and remain well within the manufacturer's established limits.
Still got to know the total weight.
Absolutely. It's a non-negotiable principle for any aircraft. Never overload it. Overloading, regardless of the CG position, fundamentally causes structural damage and can lead to catastrophic failures. You're just asking too much of the airframe.
Let's dive deeper then into how simply being too heavy affects your flight. This isn't just abstract numbers, it's about what you'll actually experience in the cockpit and, well, the risks you're taking.
Exactly. When an aircraft has a heavier gross weight, its performance is immediately impacted. You'll notice a significantly longer takeoff run.
Need more runway.
And a shallower climb gradient. For landing, it means a faster touchdown speed and a longer landing roll.
So need more runway at both ends.
Pretty much. The source really drives this home. Even a minor overload can prevent you from clearing an obstacle that normally wouldn't even be a factor during takeoff under better conditions.
Wow.
That extra weight really adds up when you need to climb out quickly.
And it's not just takeoff and landing, is it?
No, not at all. The detrimental effects of overloading aren't just limited to those immediate hazards. Overloading has an adverse effect on all climb and cruise performance.
So everything suffers?
Basically, yes. This can lead to engine overheating during climbs, added wear on engine parts, increased fuel consumption, slower cruising speeds, and significantly reduced range.
Yeah.
Every aspect of flight is degraded. It can turn a routine trip into a real struggle.
So, okay, what does this all mean for the aircraft's physical structure? I mean, how much strain does that extra weight really put on the plane itself during flight?
A lot.
Yeah.
Potentially a terrifying amount, actually. Aircraft are designed to withstand specific load factors.
G-forces, right?
At G. For example, an aircraft certificated in the normal category, so not designed for aerobatics, must be strong enough to withstand what's called a load factor of 3.8 Gs.
3.8.
No, it's a G. Think of it as just a multiple of the force of gravity. So 3.8 Gs means that plane is built to handle nearly 4 times its own weight and stress during maneuvers or even just unexpected turbulence.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. Wild, right? What this means is that if you have just a 100-pound overload,
okay,
you're imposing a potential structural overload of 380 pounds during maneuvers.
Whoa. Almost 400 extra pounds of stress just from being 100 pounds over.
Exactly. It's a huge multiplier.
Okay, so structural failures can happen, obviously.
They can, and they can be dramatic and catastrophic. But more often, Overloading affects structural components progressively in a way that's difficult to detect and expensive to repair.
Like hidden damage?
Kind of. Habitual overloading tends to cause cumulative stress and damage that might not be obvious during pre-flight inspections, and it can result in structural failure later, maybe during completely normal operations.
Scary.
It is. This added stress accelerates metallic fatigue failures. To give you a specific example, a 3G maneuver, maybe recovery from a steep dive, something not totally uncommon,
Right.
with just a 100-pound increase in weight, which, remember, could be as little as about 16 gallons of unneeded fuel, that imposes an added load of 300 pounds on the structure.
Just from a bit of extra fuel.
Yeah, that's a lot of hidden stress building up over time.
And it's not just the total weight, right? What about, like, baggage compartments?
Good point. Don't forget, even if the overall aircraft isn't overloaded, specific areas like baggage compartments or even seats have their own placarded load limits.
Ah, those little stickers.
Exactly. You might see a baggage compartment placarded for, say, 20 pounds. That's because of the limited strength of its supporting structure, even if the aircraft isn't technically overloaded or out of CG limits with more weight there.
So you have to respect those individual limits, too.
Absolutely. Those specific limits must be respected for structural integrity. Overloading that compartment could cause the floor to collapse, or worse, shift weight dangerously in flight.
Okay, this is all critical stuff. Where do you find all this?
It's all there for you. Manufacturers provide all this critical weight and balance data in your aircraft's FAA-approved Aircraft Flight Manual, or AFM.
Or the POH, Pilot's Operating Handbook.
Right, the POH. Often they include really easy-to-read charts and graphs. Our source really emphasizes the importance of strict adherence to these limitations.
They're not suggestions.
Definitely not. They are literally designed for your safety and the longevity of the aircraft.
And the source gives specific examples, right, about how you might not be able to load everything.
They absolutely do. And these really illustrate just how crucial this is. For example, in some popular four-place aircraft, it's simply not possible to fill all seats, the baggage compartments, and the fuel tanks and still remain within approved weight or balance limits.
You can't have it all.
You just can't do it all at once. Something has to give. Usually fuel, or maybe a passenger or baggage.
Okay.
Another example. In a certain two-place aircraft, no baggage may be carried in the compartment after the seats when spins are going to be practiced.
Ah, because that affects spin recovery.
Precisely. Understanding these specific limitations for your aircraft, the one you're training in right now, is paramount. Your POH is truly your Bible here. Read it, know it.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about total weight. But beyond that, where the weight is placed, the load distribution, and the resulting center of gravity, that fundamentally changes how the aircraft flies, doesn't it?
Oh, fundamentally. This is where things get really dynamic and frankly, a little scary if you're not paying attention.
Because an aircraft that's normally stable might not be.
Exactly. An aircraft that's perfectly stable and controllable when loaded normally can have very different flight characteristics when overloaded, but especially when the CG is out of its specified limits. You can turn a predictable, friendly aircraft into a total handful.
Okay, so let's look at how moving the CG affects your flight experience. Let's start with a forward CG. What's the feeling there? What are the tricky parts, especially for someone still learning landings?
Well, an aircraft with forward loading, it feels heavier on the controls, generally slower, too.
Adhere. Okay.
To maintain level flight, you'll find it requires nose-up trim in most aircraft. Now think about what that means. The tail surfaces have to produce a greater downward load on the back end of the fuselage.
Pushing the tail down.
Right. And this downward force actually adds to the wing loading and the total lift the wing has to generate just to stay level.
So the wing has to work harder.
It does. And what that means for you is it requires a higher angle of attack, or AOA,
Okay.
which results in more drag and, critically, a higher stalling speed.
Whoa, wait. Higher stalling speed.
Yes. Think about that for a moment. The slowest safe speed you thought you knew for landing might suddenly no longer be safe. It pushes you into potentially dangerous territory without much warning.
That's a really sneaky one.
It is. You'll also experience higher elevator control forces, meaning it physically takes more muscle to control the pitch.
Right.
For tailwheel aircraft, a forward CG makes it difficult to taxi, especially in windy conditions. It can be nosed over easily if you hit the brakes too hard.
Ouch.
And it's difficult to land without bouncing because it tends to pitch down onto the wheels as it slows.
Okay. And nose wheel planes.
For nose-wheel aircraft, you can get steering difficulties, particularly during the landing, roll, and takeoff, because there's less effective weight maybe on the nose wheel for steering authority, or sometimes too much making it sluggish.
Wow, okay. So that higher stalling speed with the forward CG is definitely something to watch out for. It's like the aircraft is silently raising the safety bar on you.
That's a good way to put it.
So that's forward. But what happens when the weight shifts the other way, towards the aft? It sounds faster, maybe even more efficient, right? But the source warns us about some serious hidden dangers there, too.
You're right. On the surface, it sounds appealing. With aft loading, you'll likely use nose-down trim. This means the tail surfaces are exerting less downward load,
Okay.
which effectively relieves the wing of some of that loading and the lift required to maintain altitude. The required AOA of the wing is less, so the drag is reduced,
Less drag.
allowing for a faster cruise speed. That's the upside.
Sounds good so far.
However, there's a significant, very dangerous trade-off. The aircraft becomes less stable as the CG moves rearward.
Less stable, how?
It might alternately climb and dive with increasing steepness after just a momentary disturbance like hitting a bit of turbulence.
Yeah.
It can potentially become unmanageable.
Yikes.
Recovery from a stall becomes progressively more difficult, sometimes even impossible. And there's a serious risk of something called a flat spin with a sufficiently rearward CG.
Flat spin. That sounds bad.
It's very bad. Centrifugal force essentially pulls the tail out, away from the axis of the spin, making it impossible to get the nose down and recover.
Ow.
In short, the aircraft becomes less controllable, especially at slow flight speeds, which is exactly when you need the most control authority. Even a small aft CG shift can prevent normal spin recovery.
So it's trading performance for stability, and that sounds like a terrible deal.
Usually not a good deal, no. Especially when you're learning.
That's incredibly important. I always kind of thought a faster cruise was just always a good thing, but clearly not if you're sacrificing stability in such a dangerous way.
Exactly. And it's not just about simple forward or aft either. There's also the concept of long moment arms and dispersed loads.
Okay, what's that?
Well, even with the same total weight and the same CG location, if heavy items like fuel or cargo are distributed far away from that designed CG, think about wingtip tanks or cargo bins way up in the nose or far back in the tail.
Right, spread out.
Maneuvering the aircraft actually requires greater control forces. An aircraft with full outboard wing tanks, or tip tanks, for example, tends to be sluggish in roll.
Harder to bank.
Yeah, when control situations are marginal. And one with, say, full nose and aft cargo bins tends to be less responsive to the elevator controls. Pitch control feels mushy.
So it's about where the weight is concentrated too, not just the overall balance point.
Precisely. It affects the aircraft's inertia and how it responds to your inputs.
So what's the core takeaway here for you, the student pilot listening? Let's try and summarize this CG stuff.
Okay. Basically, CG position influences lift, your angle of attack, how much force the tail needs to exert, and how much you need to deflect the stabilizer or stabilator.
And remember that sneaky higher stall speed with the forward CG?
Definitely. Higher stall speed, higher elevator control forces with the forward CG.
But faster cruise speeds are possible with an aft CG because of reduced drag?
But the aircraft becomes less stable as the CG moves rearward, potentially becoming dangerously unstable.
Right. And recovery from stalls or spins gets much harder, maybe impossible.
Correct. And just to reiterate that forward CG point, it can increase the need for back elevator pressure so much that you might run out of elevator authority before you reach the stall speed in some situations, especially landing.
Okay, so know your CG, know its effects. It's not simple.
Not simple, but absolutely vital.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive has truly shown just how foundational understanding weight and balance is for safe and efficient flight, especially for you as you train to become a pilot. It's not just a set of calculations you do once or, a few numbers on a sheet. It's really a profound insight into your aircraft's very behavior and its capabilities. Mastering this, that's a true mark of a competent pilot.
Absolutely. And remember, all this critical information, the precise limits, the charts, the specific scenarios for your aircraft, it's all in your aircraft's FAA-approved AFM or POH.
The manual.
The manual. We really can't stress this enough.
Yeah.
Spend quality time with it, get to know it. It's where the manufacturers outline the specific limitations for your aircraft, the one you'll actually be flying. It's your ultimate guide, filled with exactly what you need to know to be safe.
It really is. So beyond the numbers and the formulas, and maybe think about it this way, This knowledge transforms your relationship with the aircraft. It's about recognizing that every passenger, every single bag, every gallon of fuel you add is a variable in a dynamic system.
That's right.
And your diligence, your understanding of that system, is what truly defines a competent and safe pilot. So here's a thought to leave you with. What other hidden depths, what other crucial insights do you think are waiting for you right there in your POH?
That's it for this episode. Keep your wings level, your brain sharp, and catch you next time in the pattern. Thanks for riding with Propeller Breeze.